you have to ask yourself, you say, wait a minute, we were living in a segregated society. The civil rights movement had not occurred en masse, and we were able to work together as a people, have viable businesses, take care of our families, and have a sense of dignity that we don't have now. And it's just scary. And I guess for the remainder of our session here, I'd like to get some of your thoughts on that. I mean, if you have a thought or just a statement or a comment on what happened. And for those of you who are perhaps too young and have no recollection of how African Americans survived prior to the Civil Rights Movement, and maybe you haven't heard your parents or your grandparents talk about it, well, I understand that. You're still a viable part of this conversation. So please, if there's any questions about anything, feel free. We'll start with the gentleman here.
Okay, there's a lot I won't say right now, but one of the things, because I paid attention very clearly in terms of when I was growing up, and they had communities and the black business owners and people, you did all your work within the black community. Not that we were afraid to go into the white community, but everything you need was there. But three things took place that changed that. First was the integration, and that was by deliberate means to separate some things. The second one is commercialism, because my question is, why is it that the kids want McDonald's when your grandmother can make a burger better? You understand what I'm saying? It's all about commercialism, who changed the transition of how we think and how we process. Then we have that slave mentality that still exists in terms of trusting our brothers and sisters.
Very good, very good. Yes, sir.
I think a lot of it occurred simply because of, and during the time period when Hayti was there, and prior to immigration and so forth, when Durham had three black-only high schools and so forth, Moore, Little River, and Hillside. And as integration came about, two of those high schools were gone. They were negotiated to be eliminated, be turned into elementary schools. Now, those high schools were like the black church. They were foundations where you went through and you developed the young leaders of the black community that would come up and help move things on. Those disappeared. There was only one left, and that was Hillside, and it became an integrated school at that point in time. A lot was lost. I know I attended the wake of a teacher that I had at Little River, and then later on at Northern High School doing integration. Just a moment ago, and I was talking with Skippy Scarborough concerning that and his move and his trials and tribulations on his new location and so forth as well. But these individuals, when you were in school, they make sure that you obtain your education, that you were prepared to enter the world, that you were prepared to lead, to take the next step, and help bring forward those things, those expectations that the whole entire community had resting on your shoulders, and so forth. And a lot of that disappeared when those schools and those individuals were no longer there, that support. Because within the city as a whole, from the churches to the high schools, that's where you really found all your youth that was going to stand up, and those are the ones that wound up in the civil rights marches. That's where the people came from during that time period. That was where those individuals were able to see the leadership of Mr. Scarborough and Mr. Burke and Mr. Moore and all the other black leaders within the city, and be able to talk to their families, their children, and so forth, and be inspired to move on and emulate or do great things for themselves. So, a lot of that was just lost during that time period, and that it was not transferred when integration. Some of the teachers went over, went into those schools as well, and they were there and ran to them for their support. But that particular support system, I remember for me, John D. Leonard from Bergmore High School, where he had taught my brothers and sisters, and so for older brothers and sisters. And when I was in elementary school in Little River, he became the principal.
That is the hope. That is the dream. That is why I'm here. That is why I'm pressing on. Even at 50, I'm not too old to learn.
That's right.
I'm not too old to go back and
That's right.
plant some collard greens and raise some hogs and some goats. We used to be the groundwork. When you needed a carpenter, people came to the black community to find a carpenter. Why? We had the best there was. When it came to bricklaying and masonry, who was it? It was us. A black man laid out, not the state of Washington, but the city of Washington, D.C. A black man laid it out from start to finish. So, no, we haven't lost our ability to think. What has happened, we have given up our right to stand together and move forward. I represent forward progress, and I will not be deterred, I will not stop, nor will I be thrown away from the path. It is straight. Our history does not lie. There are many of us that are not really sure how we got here. Your family has a legacy.
Yeah, that's right.
Find out what it is.
Thank you very much. I just want to say, you're absolutely right. It's never at the school.
I guess I have several questions, but I guess the first one is, after watching the film, and I had no knowledge of the community that I'm learning about here, am I correct in understanding that you're for and would really like the neighborhood schools, that you feel that the integration contributed to the demise, not just of that community, but of the support, that this gentleman was talking about? Because, today, right now in Wake County,
Right.
That debate is going on today. Neighborhood schools versus, busing children, to different parts of the city and so on. And frankly, I don't know the answer. And, I love that I'm able to hear, your voices today.
Since we haven't heard from this gentleman, would you like to comment on that?
Oh, yes. See,
Okay.
I'm glad to be the last because I get everybody else. I try to be brief with a lot of it.
We have some time
Main
still.
thing, as soon as you brought that up, it's about what's going on in Wake County now. That is going to be the thing. Once that passes and goes through Wake County, watch all other counties in Johnson County, in the state of North Carolina.
Those same skills right there and do it in this way. You don't know the game. And that's the thing. We're playing the wrong games. We're doing the wrong things and we're ending up in jail, in the military, dead. I mean, and these same skills that we have, we possess what we need to have to succeed. We don't need land. All you need is knowledge. And the thing is that we have the same amount of brain power, ingenuity, creativity that other people have. And that's the purpose of this whole conference, is for people to realize that, hey, we need to get our black men educated in knowledge. They need knowledge of these systems so that they can progress in 20th century and so that they can make changes and make the world flow and play the game that everybody else has been playing